Good morning. So today we're going to be talking about the skeletal system, and we're going to be talking about the structure and the function of how it works. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through our foldables or our folders, and we're going to be reading through our definitions and looking at how the structures and the functions work here in the human body. So to begin, we're going to look at the skeletal system structures. The definition of the skeletal system structures is that the skeleton is made of hard bones and flexible hard tissues called cartilage. When you look at what cartilage is smooth, firm, and flexible tissue that is found on the ends of bones. Cartilage cushions and reduces friction between bones in your joints. And so here, this is what cartilage is. It is found between two end bones. So we're going to move on to our next folder. And so it's continuing on our structures of the skeletal system. And so what you're going to find it next is called our ligaments. So here it's going to be our connective tissues that holds the bones together at the joints. So here we have a picture of our joints. Here you see this is one joint and here is another joint, and in between is what our ligaments are. So there are different kinds of joints. They're called pivot joints, ball and socket joints, gliding joints, and hinge joints. And so what the definition of a joint is that it's where bones meet, such as knees or your elbows. So a pivot joint is where they can rotate around at a central point, so that will be your neck, your wrist, and your elbows. Your ball and socket joints are going to be in a socket so that it cannot rotate in a circle. So it would be a shoulder and a hip, so those are limited. Your gliding joints are bones that glide over each other, so those would be your wrists, your ankles, and then your vertebrae. So then finally you have your hinge joints. So those are going to be your bones that hinge at a central point, like a hinge on a door. So if you open a door or a cabinet and you see a hinge, that's what you can kind of think of as an example. So those would be your knees, your elbows, or even your fingers. And here we're going to look over our functions of our skeletal system. So what is the point of our skeletal system? What is it for? We have three main points of what it does. It's to facilitate movement, protect our internal organs. So for example, we have our rib cage, those are to protect our lungs, and then to also support our body. So what kind of movement can we do? Well, there's involuntary muscles, and then there's voluntary muscles. And it's exactly what you think. Involuntary are muscles that connect without conscious control, such as your stomach, your bladder, and your blood vessels. You don't think about that. You can't control your stomach, and you can't control your bladder. And then you have your voluntary muscles, which are your muscles that are under your own control, that you know when you want to move them. So for example, those would be your quads and your biceps and your calf muscles. So when you think about our structures, we're talking about movement. So what is movement? It's basically your skeletal muscles are responsible for movements that make your body move, right? So when you run, any type of movement, you run, you write, you talk, those are all types of movement. We have our joint stabilization. So skeletal muscles in your core protect your spine. So it's your back, your abdominal, and your pelvic muscles. And finally, we have our posture. So flexibility and strength are keys to maintaining proper posture. So in your shoulders, in your spine, in your hips, and in your knees. Okay. So here are all our folders that we have about our skeletal muscle. Next time we'll be talking about the muscular system, and we'll go in depth about that.